What's up everybody, Eternal Fire here, and today we're going to be talking about the Elemental Shaman in patch 7.2. So basically we're going to be going over 3 different builds you can use: the Ascendance build, Lightning Rod, and the Icefury build. And with those come a few different changes, and I want to talk about all 3, so check the description for the time at which those are talked about in the video. First, we're going to be starting with Ascendance. So basically with Ascendance, the first thing you're going to want to do is just make sure your mastery is as close to 76.5% when you take the talent Totem Mastery. If you take the talent Path of Flame, you want your mastery to be at 86.5%. So that's what you want to shoot for mastery, and then your next highest is crit, followed by versatility, and then haste. Totem Mastery is better overall because it lowers your need for mastery, and it just, buffs other things very nicely. Overall, it's the greatest damage increase. If you're on the move a ton, and it's like a very fast-paced Mythic Plus dungeon, I would recommend going with Path of Flame. Or if your mastery is at over 76.5%, I would recommend going with Path of Flame. But until then, go with Totem Mastery. And then Gust of Wind, Lightning Surge Totem, Ancestral Swiftness for the haste. Elemental Blast is definitely something you want to take here. It is more management, but the damage increase is significant. Then Echo of Elements and Ascendance, obviously, because this is the Ascendance build. So basically what you're going to want to do is, once you have this build, the first thing you want to do in your pull is you want to, before combat, you want to get your totems out. Okay, so you get your totems out, they're up for 2 minutes, they stay up. Then you want to use your Fire Elemental and pre-pop. I'm not going to use the Fire Elemental right now because it's not that important, but before combat, get your totems down, get your Fire Elemental out 3 seconds before combat, and your pre-pot 2 seconds before combat. Okay, and then 1 second before combat, you're going to cast Elemental Blast. And the priority of this build, in any build with Elemental Blast, is to have Elemental Blast up as much as possible. So whenever Elemental Blast is up, you're going to be using it, followed by a Flame Shock, and then you're going to use your 2 Lava Bursts. Now, at this point, you haven't used Ascendance yet, and the reason you haven't used Ascendance yet is because if you do your Elemental Blast, Flame Shock, pop Ascendance, and start spamming Lava Burst, your Flame Shock is going to end before your Ascendance is over. So you're really going to screw yourself with your Lava Bursts. So basically you want to take the time to ramp this up, okay? Because the more Maelstrom you have, the longer your Flame Shock will be up. So you want to build the Maelstrom with your 2 first initial Lava Bursts. And the whole idea of this is you want to use Ascendance at a time when you will not have to move for those 15 seconds. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do Elemental Blast, Flame Shock, Lava Burst, another Flame Shock, Ascendance, and then just sit here and spam Lava Burst. And you see now our Flame Shock is at 36 seconds on the target, and we're just going to sit here for 15 seconds and we're going to spam Ascendance. Okay, and we're not going to use Elemental Blast while our Ascendance is up. We're just going to keep using it. Now we're going to use Elemental Blast, Earth Shock, then followed with Lightning Bolt, and that at this point you're going to use your Stormkeeper. Okay, and then use your Lava Burst when they're up and weave in the Stormkeeper Lightning Bolt there. Use your Earth Shock on cooldown. It's a very hard-hitting ability, and always manage your Flame Shock, so make sure your Flame Shock never falls off the target. And that is how you want to do this build. You want to prioritize Elemental Blast, keep Flame Shock up at all times, Lava Burst, and then you want to use Stormkeeper outside of your Ascendance window on cooldown, Earth Shock when you're at 100 or above Maelstrom, and then just Lightning Bolt for your filler. So that is the rotation you want to use, and you'll get very good results from doing that. The key thing is maximizing on the effectiveness of your Ascendance. Like in Mythic Plus dungeons, by the time Ascendance is over, your damage will be quite high. And especially if I'm even using a Raid Finder version of, because I normally run Resto, so I don't typically have my loot set to Elemental. But when you use Whispers in the Dark and it procs while your Ascendance is up, it's just so clutch. It's great. But that's the rotation. Prioritize Elemental Blast. Keep Flame Shock up at all times. Use Earth Shock when it's 100 or higher Maelstrom, and it'll be shining, so you'll know when it's ready. You're going to prioritize Lava Burst. When those things are down, you use your Stormkeeper, and then you use your Lightning Bolt And if another lava burst procs, you want to be using that before you use another lightning bolt. So that's how that works. One thing I do want to point out is your elemental focus. So your direct damage spell critical strikes increase the damage and healing of your next 2 spells by 20%. So when you crit with an ability, it gives you elemental focus, which makes your next 2 abilities hit for 20% harder. And you really want to make sure if you have Flame Shock up, your Lava Burst is always going to crit. So think about that when you're doing your rotation. Are you going to use a Stormkeeper and then spam 3 lightning bolts? Or are you going to use a Stormkeeper, get a Lava Burst with giving yourself a charge of 2 elemental focus, and then use your lightning bolts? It's something you want to try and weave into your rotation. And then you also have your Mastery Elemental Overload, and this is why Mastery is important. Your Lightning Bolt, Elemental Blast, Chain Lightning, and Lava Burst casts have a 53% chance. I wish it was higher, but it's not right now because of my 4-piece. And my rings are terrible. Anyway, chance to trigger a second cast on the same target for 84% of the normal damage. So you're basically getting a full second cast, which is really, really great. So that is the Ascendance build, guys. It's all a matter of preparing yourself to get into a good spot with Ascendance so you can just sit there and spam Lava Burst until that 15 seconds is ended. That's the Ascendance build. Okay, now on to the Lightning Rod build. For this build, the only thing you're going to change is Ascendance to Lightning Rod. So you're going to take Lightning Rod, and basically what you're going to want to do for this is a really fun, great talent if you're doing Mythic Plus dungeons. I wouldn't recommend necessarily doing it for other fights unless you have like a council boss. Like a good example is the Botanist in Nighthold. This is going to be a build that you definitely would consider using for that. I would recommend it, but mainly for Mythic Plus dungeons. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, your stats again are going to be not prioritizing Mastery, but it's going to be crit equals Mastery, and then versatility haste. So, and if you're doing Mythic Plus, I've also read that you could also go crit haste Mastery. So, you know, you kind of have some openings there. Try what feels best. I find that I have crit Mastery gear from healing, so that's typically what I tend to stick with. So basically, this is a pretty easy rotation. Not much changes from the Ascendance other than the fact that now we don't have that Ascendance window. You're going to pop your totems down. You're always going to want to have them down. It's always going to buff you. Between your totems and your Elemental Blast being up as much as you possibly can keep it up, you're going to have some really, really hardcore self buffs. So basically, this is for trash packs, large AoE packs. The whole idea of Lightning Rod is you get Lightning Rod on your target and then you swap to another target. So say you're chain lightning a large group, right? You're going to chain lightning, and if you see your primary target get Lightning Rod, he's going to now take additional damage when you do either chain lightning or lightning bolt damage to somebody else. So he's going to be taking additional damage, and especially when you're using chain lightning, that becomes quite powerful. So you're going to use your Elemental Blast. Always use Elemental Blast before you use Stormkeeper or chain lightning, because it will make your damage go through the roof. If you don't use Elemental Blast and you use Stormkeeper and chain lightning, you are just missing out on a ton of damage. So we're going to use our Elemental Blast. We're going to build that up. We're going to get our Flame Shock going, and then we can use our Chain Lightning at this point, and see we already have Lightning Rod up, so I'm going to switch to another target. And you're going to see that this guy, even though he's not my primary target, he's taking a lot of extra damage. So that is the whole idea. So now we're just Lightning Rodding, or Chain Lightning this guy. I guess we can just use that, so he's Lightning Rod now, so we're going to switch to this target. And see how he's taking all that additional damage now. See that? That's the whole idea of Lightning Rod. So when you see Lightning Rod go on somebody, you're going to want to switch targets to another target, because now they're going to be taking both increased damage. Another thing you want to do is make sure that you have Flame Shock on as many targets as possible going into this. And obviously, if they were closer together, I'd be using Chain Lightning. The whole idea with AoE for a Shaman is that if you have 2 targets or more, you're going to do if it's 2 targets, you're going to do your primary rotation, but swap out Lightning Bolt with Chain Lightning. If it's 3 targets, you're going to do still the same, just swap out Lightning Bolt with Chain Lightning. If it's more than 3 targets, you're just going to use Chain Lightning and your Earthquake. So you're going to pop your Earthquake down, and you're just going to spam Chain Lightning and enjoy watching those numbers fly in. So that's really all there is different to the Lightning Bolt The lightning rod build is that when you see that lightning rod on the primary target, you switch to another target. You keep the flame shocks up, lightning rod goes on the target, you swap to another target. Now that target that you were targeting is taking a lot of extra damage. And that is how you use lightning rod properly. And again, I recommend it for like council style bosses or for, you know, Mythic Plus dungeons for sure. It's gonna really increase your damage and you're gonna have a lot of fun. So that's how you do lightning rod. Okay, so lastly, we're going to talk about the Icefury build. Now, this is the hardest build to manage your abilities, but it's also arguably the highest damage dealing talent build when done correctly. So it's going to take practice. You're not going to see that damage increase right away, but with practice, it's very effective. I highly recommend this build for high movement required fights. And for stats, you're going to want to go crit, mastery, versatility, then haste. And you've seen the progression here with the Ascendance build. You're using mastery crit. The lightning rod build, crit equals mastery, and then Icefury crit is greater than mastery. So just make sure that depending on the build you want to try using, gear accordingly, or keep a lot of extra gear anyway. So basically, again, it's a high mobility. You can be moving while you do it, and that's the whole point. So you're going to pop your totems down, and you're going to do your normal rotation, right? And you may want to save your Icefury for when it's time to move, or you can just, you know, weave it into your normal rotation that we've already talked about. And basically, what you're going to do is your Icefury hurls frigid ice at the target, dealing X amount of damage, frost damage, and causing your next 4 frost shocks to deal 400% increased damage. So the thing you want to keep in mind, also this is a 30-second cooldown and it generates 24 Maelstrom. You don't want to use this if it's going to cap your Maelstrom. You really don't want to cap your Maelstrom. You never want to do that. But you also don't want to pop it when you don't have any Maelstrom. Because if you look at Frost Shock costs 0 to 20 Maelstrom. And so if you use 20 Maelstrom on a Frost Shock, it does double the damage. It does 100% more damage. So you want to use Icefury when you're about at, I would say, 70 to 80 Maelstrom, because that's going to put you over the edge where you can get 4 full 20 Maelstrom Frost Shocks. And that's how you want to use it. So you're going to use your normal rotation. If you're capped on Maelstrom, don't use Icefury. You want to use Earth Shock to dump that Maelstrom. Or if you don't need to move, you can go ahead and use Earth Shock. Otherwise, you want to use Icefury. And you want to make sure that Elemental Blast, again, like the other builds, is up and active. You have the buff from it. Then you use your Icefury. Then you can use your Frost Shocks. Just don't let yourself cap on Maelstrom before using Icefury, because that'll be a waste. And never let yourself cast Icefury and then use your Frost Shocks when you don't have enough Maelstrom to fully power them. That's really the key to this build. And again, it takes practice. So, you know, you're going to Elemental Blast, Flame Shock, Lava Burst, get some lightning bolts in there. Okay, so we've built that up. So now we're going to use Icefury, and then you're just going to pop that off. And you don't want to spam it. You just want to hit it, Frost Shock the 4 times, and that's how you do that build. But the nice thing is you're going to have 5 or 4 global cooldowns that you can be moving for. So while you move, you don't have to be sitting still or not doing any damage. You can at least be using Frost Shock. So that is the Icefury build. I like Lightning Rod and Ascendance more. I think it's more fun, but this is very good when it's necessary. The last thing I want to talk about before the video ends is I want to talk about the AoE in general for an Elemental Shaman. So what you want to do is, let's pretend these are close together. You put Flame Shock up on all targets. And let's say we've already talked about, 2 and 3 cleave. You want to use your Chain Lightning for 4+ targets. So you get Frost Shock up and then just Chain Lightning. And that's what you're going to do, okay? So you just Chain Lightning until you have enough Maelstrom to use your Earthquake. And when you're spamming your Chain Lightning, your Earthquake is going to be up constantly. So it's up for 6 seconds, and by the end of the 6 seconds, you should be close to or ready to use it again. So you want to keep Earth Shock up, and if you're doing a heavy AoE situation, like let's say Score Pyron and Nighthold, I would go with the talent Liquid Magma Totem coupled with your Earthquake and your Chain Lightning, and you're going to see some really amazing results. And that's how you AoE. I just wanted to cover that real quick. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.